Hello and welcome to Forge of Champions 3. My name is Jake Hiprain Matthews, and joining me here on the caster desk is Tyke Celtic Tiger Brennan and Dan Orcs Harrison. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Yeah, good,
yeah,
great.
Doing real well.
Can't complain.
Yeah, good. Is that what we got to say?
Yeah, I mean, got a lot of cool games coming up. I feel like they speak for themselves.
Yeah, they speak for themselves. Well, we are starting up with the third qualifying tournament of Forge of Champions. So before we go any further, let's have a little look at actually how Forge of Champions works and how these qualifying tournaments lead towards the grand finals. Maybe in a second.
Yeah.
Let's have a little talk.
No, too eager there.
Oh,
yeah.
I was really eager. Yeah, so I mean, we got obviously a bunch of games coming up today before we go. So before we do break that down, now we're ready to go in. So let's have a little look at how Forge of Champions works. So, Forge of Champions is broken down into 4 qualifying tournaments that lead towards those grand finals. The qualifying tournaments each are worth more points than the last. They are broken down into an open stage and a scoring stage. The open stage is open to as many teams as can signed up, and it slowly dwindles down to 8 surviving teams. Those 8 teams then progress into the scoring stage, where they will be pitted up against 8 of the Premiership teams that slowly work their ways throughout the finals, and that is worth points and a cash prize. Like I said, those points are very important because they slowly work their way up and are worth more and more points. As after all of these tournaments are done, we head into that grand finals, which is the best of 8 teams. That's a pretty standard layout for a grand finals. You know, cash prize up for grabs at the end, and it's obviously the 8 teams come forward to the grand final, which is over the 5th and the 6th here in Barcelona in our LVP studios. Now, what is up for grabs, I hear you cry? A spot on the European Masters for both the grand final winner and the qualifier team with the most points. So they will go forward to represent the United Kingdom at the European Masters. Pretty exciting stuff, as that is coming up fairly soon as well.
Yeah, so 2 avenues to score that crucial EU Masters spot. Obviously, the most points at the moment is currently held by XL, but as you said, more points in each tournament, so definitely chance for things to get thrown up in the air.
Yeah, and I mean, with XL having had a decent performance at the last EU Masters, maybe they're looking to repeat that, or maybe someone else is going to knock them out and they're not going to get that spot at all.
Yep.
Well, if you are curious about how you can actually get your hands on the 4th and final spot in the qualifying tournament, you can head over to forgeofchampions.com, and you can sign your team up over there. That will obviously give you a potential chance to get through. Remember, like we said, each tournament is worth more, so you can obviously do that. And there is also a Twitter you can follow us on, and also talk to us using the hashtag ForgeOfChampions3, and the Twitter is LVPUK. Keep in contact with us, hook us up with some memes and stuff like that. And if you want more content from us, you can head over to our YouTube channel, also LVPUK, where we'll be putting highlights up and a couple more exciting things over the rest of the split.
LVP Space UK, I believe.
LVP Space UK, there we go.
Just a little correction,
just
yeah, making sure.
Starting in early.
Well,
but yeah, I mean,
actually,
Sven's lonely over there at LVP UK, so give him a shout out, guys.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there waiting for you to call him.
He's staring at his phone, just like, come on! Why wouldn't you answer? Before we go into our first game of the day, I do have a little question for you. I pitted it here last time. I was on the Forge of Champions. It was about socks and shoes. This time I'm going to ask you about homes, particularly the homes of turtles. So, is a turtle without his shell homeless or naked?
I'm leaning towards naked. I mean, I like that you're just mind blown.
This is the stupidest question I've been asked this year, I think.
I had another question, but I thought it was kind of silly as well.
This was your less silly option.
Do you want the other one?
Yes.
I can give you both.
Okay, yeah.
All right, yeah, okay. The other one is the C or the S in the word sent the silent letter? Which one's the silent letter? Maybe that was a better question.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the C, though.
You're leaning towards the C?
Yeah.
I would assume that because that's the first letter.
Yeah, well, the S is the first letter, and then
sorry,
knocks
so
out
the S,
C.
yeah. But then you could just have a silent first letter. Like, what
Like
word
knife.
is that? Yeah, like knife.
But
Are these the
it's less
questions?
common.
This is a good one.
Are
Why
these
did I
the
ask
questions
this?
that just keep you awake at night? Like you're lying in bed, like, oh, which is it? Is it the S or the C?
These are the questions I think about to put myself to sleep because I'm like, I don't care. just conk out. Use the hashtag ForgeOfChampions3. Let us know whether or not you think the S or the C is the silent letter in the word sent.
yeah.
This isn't as heated as I want it to be.
Whether a turtle's naked or homeless, we're still on that question too.
Yeah. Rammus without a shell, is he, is he homeless or is he naked or is he just useless because he can't use his W anymore?
I mean, he's kind of useless anyway right now.
Little bit of flame.
little bit of flame towards a champion. I think he can handle it.
Yeah, I think so
You
too.
have nothing to say to this.
I'm just after.
Come on, give
You're just
give
so
us your
thrown.
input. Tigers, let us know. Where are you thinking? I want to know about turtles. I want to know about
Yeah,
the
go on.
word
I
scent.
just think it's such an obscene. Can turtles even live without their shells? I'm pretty sure you can't find a
they can
turtle without a shell.
I mean, they can live without chunks of it.
Yeah, without chunks, but like, I think if you took the entire shell of a turtle, it would be dead.
I mean, it is attached to it.
Yeah, so
it'd be quite a hard procedure to do.
So
but
yeah, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be naked or homeless if you're dead. So there you go. There's my answer.
So it was a
a
trick
bit like
question.
Ramos without his W.
Yeah.
There we
It's
go.
true.
Or Ramos in this current meta.
Yeah.
All right, what about the word scent? Before we move on.
I'm gonna say neither as well. The S and the C combined to make a different noise.
Ah, that's cheating.
Yeah, that's
well-
real cheating. There's a silent letter in the word scent. Let us know.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look at the bracket, and then we'll follow that up with the match schedule of what's coming up today. So let's have a look at actually who our top 8 teams are. Hopefully that graphic will come up nice and quick over. Obviously, you can see behind us the games that are coming up, but here is our 8 teams. XL will be taking on Barrage, Wind and Rain will be taking on Misfit, so our 2 games today, and then Diabolus versus Hyperion, and Enclave Gaming versus M&M Gaming are the 2 best of 3s we've got coming up tomorrow.
Interesting to see is just 2 O's across the board in that round of 16.
I think the big thing for me as well is it's all the Premiership teams that have gone through this time.
Yeah, so good performance from Barrage and Hyperion particularly have had a bit of trouble in that round of 16 against some of the open qualifier teams, but have both made it through. And this is extremely vital for Barrage, who this is the first time they've made it through to this stage, and so they need to rack up points if they're gonna, you know, secure their spot in the top 8 going into the grand finals.
Yeah, they go 2-0 over Bulldog. You know, there was some stuff said about that. You were covering that, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I covered that on my stream, and it was pretty heated.
Well, let's have a look at today's match, which obviously will be, well, sorry, our first game of the day, which is obviously going to be XL taking on Barrage as well. This is obviously a best of 3 like the rest of the qualifying tournament so far. So, gentlemen, where are we watching in this game?
I mean, you have XL Barrage. I love the idea that you have Sendo, who's been sometimes picking up these strong split pushers.
Yep.
I'd really like him, with the nerfs to TP having gone live very recently, to lean back into that role, especially considering he's coming up against Governor, who's been historically more of a tanky player, doesn't really want to have to match a split pusher. So something like the Fiora, even the Urgot that Sendo's brought out before, could really cause some trouble here.
The UK special in the Urgot. Now, Orcs, obviously, we've heard about the top lane. Talk to me about Venza versus Jakamaka. What are we expecting here?
Well, from what we've seen, Barrage really like to draft powerful bot lanes. Zyracon was huge for them in their series against Bulldog, so I think it's likely they'll go for something similar here, whereas Venza has been willing to play a variety of champions. I think in the series, in the last 40 Champions tournament against Enclave, he struggled a bit more when he wasn't on 80 carries. I feel he had some good games,
Yeah.
but I think I wouldn't be surprised if he just went back to 80 carries. I feel like the best thing for XL to do is put him on a safe bot lane that scales up, because the way Barrage have played it is they like to play around their bot lane. They like to have a mid laner who can roam down bot and assist. They like to have a carry jungler who can help out with that. And then when they have a tank TP top laner, and all they need Governor to do is just absorb pressure. And that's what happened in the series against Bulldogs, is that they tried to dive him. Governor turned it around really effectively. And I think if they can do that again against XL, they'll make it through. The problem is XL are currently our #1 team in terms of points. The execution is going to be a bit better than Bulldogs is. Will they be able to find the window? Guess we'll see.
And we're on 8.14 as well, so this is the changes. We've had a bit of Jinx, a bit of Tristana, kind of a bit of a buff, and Tristana's been a champion who in the UK scene has kind of been the champion of the UK scene, really. You know, it's always been that consistently strong pick, which I feel like a lot of the UK teams have struggled to play around.
I think it's because we have so many clown fiestas, and then she gets the late game, and then
it's like,
she's really strong. Yeah,
yeah.
All right, I win.
Yeah, and I
Well,
mean,
Jinx is buffed as well, so maybe she fares in the same way. You know, you kind of just leave her for 50 minutes, the game's done. Like,
Yeah.
she will win.
I mean, that was the big thing we saw previously when people have tried the Heimerdinger strategy. A lot of the UK teams have struggled to pull it off because they end up letting the game scale onwards. and then they can't close it out because they're stuck with Heimerdinger over the scaled up AD carry.
Well, before we go through to obviously the first picks and bans of the day, let's have a little look at the scoreboard and how the teams are faring so far. As you can see, like Orc said, in first place is XL sitting on 700 points. Sorry, 4,000 points. I am really bad at reading tables. Diabolos are hot on their heels though, just 250 points behind them.
150.
150, sorry. It's very hard to see when the TV's on the other side of the room. Enclave, they're a bit of a way off first, but they are still in that pole position, holding out. We got Wind and Rain in 4th, Misfits in 5th, which is surprising as they are currently the rulers of the UK scene.
Yeah, they were the last Splits champions, and they are really not finding their footing at all. And they are playing later today.
Yeah.
So we will see how that pans out. That's going to be one to watch. I just have to mention at the bottom there, your org name here. It's just so funny. Like an advertisement almost. That is the old Dig Warfare roster, for anyone who hasn't been up. Have separated from the org, but just so people know it is the same players. They have retained their points. But yeah, Misfits going to be our second series of the day up against Wind and Rain, and they really... Now is the point. Yeah, now is the point where they need to start racking up points to get good seeding going into the grand finals. Or, I mean, I think it's a big ask them to get to the point where they can take the first place in points to get that spot in the EU Masters. But if they want to get there at all, they need to get good seeding for the grand finals.
And Misfits were the team who almost went undefeated throughout ESL Premiership. Actually, maybe they did. No, they lost like 1 or 2 games.
1 game.
Yeah, and they were looking dominant. And then they come into Forge Champions and they've not been able to get through the round of 8 ever.
Yeah, it just really has been a big surprise. Big meta shifts, a change in the roster I think has led to that. But I mean, we'll talk more about that when we get to our second series.
Yeah, we will be talking obviously about that a little bit later on in the day. First of all, we do need to keep our eyes on XL versus Barrage. Barrage, this is the first time they've made it into this stage of the tournament as well. So speaking about how they need to get a win under their belt, this is kind of like do or die for Barrage at this point.
Yeah, you're saying, you know, these teams have been struggling to get through the round of 8. Barrage have been struggling to get through the round of 16.
Yeah.
So they've been dropping a lot of potential points that they would be hoping to pick up against some of these open bracket teams. It has kind of opened it up a bit to who shows up in the grand final, so we'll see how that plays out. But more immediately, that means Barrage are definitely coming in as the underdogs up against XL, who literally just won the last qualifying tournament.
Yeah, and it makes it really difficult for them because they're in the bottom of the Prem team's points. They're seeded 8. So after they get through the round of 16, they're against the #1 team in points, XL. So they're going to have such an uphill battle. I mean, it's going to be hard for them to win this, but if they did, that would sort of cement their place as getting back into the top 8, so they can really look at getting a chance to compete in our grand finals.
Okay, so for Barrage, who are we keeping our eyes on? Who's the standout player? Who is going to get them past XL, past this really hard hurdle to potentially score some higher points?
I think in the early game, it's going to come down to Zorky and his plays. He was really effective against Bulldogs, completely shutting down their jungler and managing to pick him out several times. But then I think it's also going to come down to their bot lane. Barrage like to prioritize their bot lane. They like to make plays around it, and they like to secure strong bot lane combos. So if they can get them going, I think that's how they'll come out ahead of XL, especially if XL commit to an early game focus composition and they miss their mark on it. That's where Barrage can strike back. And if they have something like Zyra Khan, it's something that gives them early pressure and will continue to scale throughout the game.
Yeah, and when you have good bot jungle pressure, it allows you to snowball really quickly because you pick up the dragon, then you're able to rotate the bot lane up top. It's pretty much like your go-to cookie cutter method for snowballing a game in the current meta. So if they can pull ahead there, as you said, it could well spell the game.
He, obviously with Zorky in the jungle, he is playing versus Taxa. Taxa's name says kind of what he does. He taxes the enemy jungle pretty hard. He's very aggressive and likes to play around that.
It's an interesting thing because historically, yes, but in the most recent finals against Enclave, every single game he played a tank jungler. You know, he was playing Sejuani, he was playing Gragas, he was playing Trundle, and it feels like he's been reined in quite significantly. And he knows he has a carry in the top lane, he has a bot lane who can hard carry, his mid can play carries to provide utility. He's found his role where he doesn't need to be on a carry himself, so he's okay with just playing these sort of high impact tank junglers.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is you can play as like a secondary engage because Quickseth has been a massive standout performer in terms of their team fighting.
Yeah.
You've seen him perform some really nice like headbutt flash combos as Alistair, and you've seen that consistently when it's Quickseth who forces the engages. They tend to do a lot better than when the rest of the team needs to, and then Tax is able to follow up on that with something simple and tanky.
Well, we are ready to go through to picks and bans. Let's see how this first game will be shaping out as XL are on the blue side, Barrage on the red. Aurelion Sol will be the first ban taken away by XL.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Seb is someone who likes to prioritize his champ. It goes with that roaming playstyle to assist his bot lane. And ASOL is that sort of champion where if they play it, it's a massive threat. But not that many people do. Seb is one of them, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard champion to counter early as well. Simply just take it off the board.
Yeah.
Again, leans back to XL thinking they're coming in as the expected victor. So if they just make sure that they get to play a more standard game, they should come out ahead.
Well, we are going to see the Aatrox taken off the wall by Barrage, so don't want to let anyone get their hands on that. Still pretty strong, even though, again, he had a couple of nerfs, basically reverting the hot fixes onto him.
Well, the interesting thing was Barrage actually left Aatrox open in their previous games and played around it with Poppy. I think they realized that giving it to someone like Sendo would be a massive mistake, though, so decided just take it off the board. Trying to counter Aatrox is never fun.
I think the thing is as well is that Aatrox is so capable of diving towers once he gets his ult. It really puts a risk for Governor when you expect XL to punish that tank top laner as Bulldogs tried to. If they have the Aatrox, it just makes it so much easier.
Barrage have got their order wrong. I've just
yeah, they
noticed
have
that.
mixed it up slightly. Bit unfortunate, but
maybe Seb's playing support this game. You know, it's all going all over the place. So maybe we have to have a little look at that as Camille has been banned away. So has the Swain, Nidalee, and the Poppy taken off the board as Talia will be the first pick by XL.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting one because as we said, Taxa was playing a lot of tanks up against Enclave, but this Talia, again, could go mid, could go jungle, but you have to suggest that you're capable of flexing it, and then bounce over to Barrage and instantly they pick up the Zyricon, which is no surprise. We said they like to prioritize these strong combos in the bot lane. This is one of the strongest there is. When they have that red side where they can pick them both up, they will.
Yeah.
And honestly, on blue side, they've shown that they will take one of them to secure their lane as well, so not too much of a surprise.
XL could go... Okay, they're locking the Caitlyn. The Braum Lucian was open as well, so they could have just taken the other dueling one.
Yeah,
but
it makes sense. If you're taking the Caitlyn, you'll take the Morg.
Yep.
Morg is something that does see a lot of bans in the first rotation. It hasn't been here, and it's a good matchup into Zyricon. One of the issues with Caitlyn in this meta is that she has quite a big mid-game trough, but her laning phase is still strong. Yeah. Particularly into Zyricon, you can just bully them out, no risk of being engaged on, and then when you do get to that, 3-4 item points, you do become relevant. It just takes longer than it used to.
Also, the big thing is that Morgana is pretty much the only thing you can do to counter some of Rakan's engage, especially when you have the extra range coming in with Xayah.
Well, Kindred will get picked up by Barrage as their final lock-in. Now we're into ban phase 2. See what Barrage are going to be looking to take off the board.
Already Barrage have a comp that's really difficult to engage onto. You have the Xayah ult, you have the CC from Rakan and the Kindred ult. It's going to be so hard to punish that Xayah. I feel like XL so far, they're going to have to make rotational plays and they're going to look to have lane pressure. So it wouldn't surprise me if they try and get a good matchup for Sendo, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to. I mean, this is one of the things, because Governor only really plays tanks, you might be able to in that regard, but I think they're definitely going to look for a lane pressure and maybe not a diving sort of composition.
What I will say, though, is that once XL land one ability on someone and lock them in place, you have a Caitlyn trap under them, you have a Talia W to drag them back in, they're just dead in 90% of cases, so still dangerous if they do manage to get caught, but there's a lot of long-range stuff coming from Barrage so far.
Well, we have seen the Dr. Mundo and the Darius taken off the board now as Barrage will be rounding out their picks and bans with a ban on the Rise. Now XL looking to put their final ban down.
Again, makes a lot of sense. The Darius gets banned away, one of the big counters to Mundo. The Rise is something that can really help the roaming. And again, as you said, one skill shot lands and all the others will. Rise doesn't actually have to aim his skill shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
See what Barrage are going to be looking to pick up here. Do you expect the top laner or the mid right now?
In my opinion, I expect top laner because you almost... I mean, it's up to them, but you're almost always going to go with a tank here. Okay. And that's to be expected. So they take the Ornn. He's a fairly stable tank with Darius off the table, with Aatrox off the table. There isn't a ton of things that punish him that hard, and he will provide that engage for their team and also extra peel for his Xayah.
Okay. Well, it does give the team pretty solid engage with the Rakan and the Ornn now. Obviously, the Call of the Forge God gives such long-range engage, and then it can be backed up by flash quickness, knock off everything coming through from the Rakan. Pretty telegraphed engage from the side of Barrage, and how are XL looking to counter this? They're going to be picking up the Urgot.
And I was leaning towards this again, with the meta moving a little bit further away from tanks being the best pick in the top lane. I like that Sendo's gone back to his more split-push side. And I think Urgot's a great pick for that. Should be able to punish Ornn as the game scales on, especially into the mid-game.
XL just playing with their food for the moment before they lock in a mid laner, figuring out exactly what they want to put in the comp, and it will be that Zoe around the compound for the side of XL. Barrage now looking to counter mid. What's open to them? What are they going to be looking to take?
Yasuo is available. It makes your comp very AD heavy. I know that Seb likes to roam. It's going to be interesting to see what he takes here. I mean, potentially there's something like Lissandra open, which can pin down the Zoe when a cleanse isn't available, can roam.
I mean, if you're looking into Zoe, I'd be looking at something that can engage very heavily. So Lissandra, again, coming into that. I was thinking Talon was also an option if you want to go more heavy on the roams. Yeah, took that away.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. If you look at the composition from Barrage, it has a lot of engage tools. They do team fight well, but it also has a lot of peel for the backline DPS in that Kindred, in that Xayah. On the other side, though, you just have a lot of lane pressure coming out from the side XL. They clearly want to get an advantage in lane, find an opportunity to group and siege, because that's where it's going to become so difficult. If you can't find and engage on the side of Barrage, you will just get whittled down, and the second any CC hits you, you will die.
It's going to be all about that engage for the side of Barrage and XL. You know, they've got a lot of pick with that Zoe, can just one-shot people if they want. Team fighting, I mean, I mean, they're not really going to be wanting the team fight quite as much.
No, it's all about how they move around the map and how they effectively split up Barrage, because if you have Ornn and Rakan engaging on you, most of the time you're probably getting 3 people knocked up. Generally, with a Xayah following that, that's a lot of damage, quick damage coming down, and that plays into Barrage's playstyle, so I do like how they've drafted. It's all about how XL played the map for me.
Yeah, so it's going to be about the vision. I want to keep my eyes on Taxa early and see where he's placing these wards. Maybe we're going to get that jungle support synergy that we used to see so much, where the jungle and support ran around and just plopped as many wards in the enemy jungle as possible to see the rotations coming out from Barrage, and maybe that way XL can find themselves their advantages they want on the map.
I think that's something good that they should look to do, but one thing they have to be careful of is historically, Quickstep has sometimes left Venzo alone a bit too long, and they've been able to dive him or punish him, and I think, yes, XL have a really good comp to play how they like to play, have lane pressure, make rotations, take objectives. The problem is, if their comp falls behind, it's going to be really difficult because there's so much engage on Barrage they just won't stop, and their team fighting is a lot superior. So I feel like XL have a comp that suits them, and coming into this they are the stronger team, but Barrage's hope is that they make some misplays in the early game and then they really can just come back in force.
Yeah, and one of the big things, when you have a team fight comp like that, once you even pull slightly further ahead, it's really easy for you to just group up as 5 and go, we're just going to run it down mid, because you can't fight us and we can engage on you.
And and they have so much engage. And I feel like, as well, Urgot isn't the greatest split pusher compared to something like a Fiora or a Camille. He's not going to be like taking your turrets that fast. Yes, he can be a menace left in the lane by himself, but if you have that much engage with the Ornn, with the Rakan, I don't think you will have time for him to really get the opportunity to push.
It really depends how he goes in his build as well. I think we'll see also how far ahead he gets.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if they decide to camp top early on and start getting him ahead early, and that'd be a lot of pressure.
I think that's a fair point, that they'll try and put the pressure down top, and the bots are going to essentially be left to their own devices. It's hard to engage them. They have a lot of lane pressure, and Taxis is trying to do his thing in the jungle. I think, but yeah, if they do fail in getting the Urgot ahead, if they do make some mistakes, which we saw when, obviously, it was when XL was against Enclave, who are a bit of a stronger team in most people's opinions. There were some games where he just didn't look as good as he has throughout the rest of the tournaments, where he really looked a bit shaky up against Rifty, and if they do find opportunities to punish him, that's where the split push can fail, the composition can fall apart.
Well, you've heard from our analysts, you've heard what they think of the match. Let us know on that hashtag ForgeOfChampions3 who you are supporting in this game. Will it be Barrage or will it be XL? Gentlemen, who do you think's got this game, coming just off the picks and bans?
I mean, if I wasn't looking at which teams were playing, I actually prefer Barrage's comp, just because I think it's easier to execute on, and it's a much more linear path to once we're ahead, we stay ahead. However, looking at the teams involved, I lean towards XL just because they've generally done better with the kind of comps they're given, and they play around their win conditions in a much better way.
I think it's hard not to favour XL because of the pedigree of the teams and the fact that XL are our first place team currently in points. I will say the Barrage draft was really smart. I like how it's suited to their team, and I think if they were going to win a game of them, this is a sort of draft they would need to do it. So there is potential. Like I said, it is an underdog situation, but I think Barrage have definitely put themselves in the position to challenge XL.
Well, Barrage apparently do have all the tools they need to take this win, and obviously this is so important for them as they haven't even made it into this point of the round of 16 yet, and this is the first time they made it to quarterfinals, so Points are all important at this point for the side of Barrage.
And you have to remember, XL are looking like one of the strongest teams in the UK in current form. If Barrage can even take one game off them, it suddenly makes them look like much higher contenders coming into the rest of the tournament.
And that's the thing as well, is that they've struggled so far to get into that round of 8, but each tournament is worth more points. They've made it this time. Even if they don't manage to win against XL, they have the next one where they have that opportunity. And that could end up being enough points for them to make it into that top 8. And once you get to that point, you just have to hope you get a good matchup and you can bring it to whichever team you're up against.
Exactly. If you get in the last 2 qualifying teams at least a high placement in the end of the tournament, you can easily make that top 8 and you can easily make it to the grand finals. And like you said, at that point, it's a matter of matching up and hoping the matchups work in your favor. But you do have to keep in mind as well, why didn't you make it to the first 2? Where were the weaknesses? Are these teams going to be able to exploit that? And, you know, XL, this is one hell of a hurdle for Barrage to come up in their first round of 8, where they're playing against the strongest team currently in Forge Champions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you just have to go in with that mentality that do as much as you can. Don't get phased by the fact it's XL. Don't look at names. Don't think, oh, this is Sendo who's going to stomp me top or something like that. Just go in, play your game, do it as well as you can. And they, like you said, Celtic, is that they have an easier comp to execute.
Yep.
So if they pull it off, great. And that's where they can, you know, find some space. And then you don't know what happens if XL do drop a game. They have shown they're pretty good at reverse sweeps, but it could throw them off kilter.
It is their thing.
Yep.
It is their thing.
I will say, though, we were just talking about how we expect the focus to be on top lane in the early game by XL. Last time that happened against Barrage, they were able to play it safe, and once they got past that portion of the game, they were able to turn it around with a strong bot lane.
And that's typically
they have the draft here to do that again.
Yeah.
It's all about whether Governor could do it against the likes of Sendo and Taxers. So coming back to your point, I really like the idea of don't get intimidated by the names and try to play the same style. And if you can play safe against that, that could well be a very close game. Yeah,
because that's the thing. Even the best players make mistakes, and you just have to find one small window to diffuse the pressure top, get a little advantage, and really, I think Barrage's comp comes online and becomes so easy to play.
Faker's been benched. Anyone can go down now.
Very true.
It is true. I mean, Governor as well typically is quite a passive player. He plays these tanks. He doesn't play for the win in lane. He just kind of sits back and does his job. He doesn't really give up too much. Going to see whether or not he can do that versus Sendo. You know, Sendo's on the Urgot, you know, that UK special. If he's going to get himself the last Whisper into the Black Cleaver, he is going to rip through Governor in lane. And it's what Governor can do before this item spike comes through on the Urgot.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me for Barrage is if they can punish mid. You know, Zoe's a mobile on the early levels. You have Alessandro who's so good at setting up a gank for the Kindred. If you can punish that and get control, you can branch that outwards. You can then get control of the bot side of the jungle. You can look for Quickseth and Roams. You can look for Taxa. And potentially, if they do go for those plays, you can punish Venge in the bot lane. Because I feel like this game might well be dictated by whichever team takes a first turret. I expect XL to prioritize top, but they're still going to have a lot of pressure bot from this Caitlyn Morg. If Barrage managed to punish that by diving them or some such plan like that, then I think...
Some such nuisance.
Some such nuisance. Then I think they might be able to get the lead they need to carry out their plan for the game.
Well, you can hear it in your ears. It does sound like we are loading into games, so we should be hopping in relatively quick. Maybe you couldn't hear it. Maybe it was just us. I'm giving the game away. So, I mean, Celtic, you're going to be joining me here.
Yep.
Any last things you want to say before Dan disappears into the ether?
No, I'm looking forward to seeing how XL play the map early, and if Barrage can counter, how they kind of push forward into their mid game.
Yeah.
Whether they can secure their bot lane enough to carry forward.
Yeah, I've already said all my points. I would, you know,
all out of points. You're an analyst. You're paid to continue to make points.
This is the first time since I met you where you've run out of things to say.
I think I've gone over pretty much every sort of such situation quite well. I can talk about the Caitlyn actually, because that's a big point. Caitlyn,
there we go.
Something that hasn't been played in quite a while. Did get some buffs to the headshot damage on the traps. Well, just general headshot damage, but big on those traps. And I think particularly it's going to be interesting to see what build he goes. There's a build which likes to pressure more mid game, and then there's a build which likes to pressure more in the late game. The late game build which you saw Death play in the LCK would be like a BF sword into rapid fire cannon. You finish the Infinity Edge, and then your third item is situational. Do you want more crit? Do you want more penetration for dealing with tanks? Because he went the Lord Dominic's. The other build you could go is the Storm Razor rapid fire, where you rush both those items. You can pick up. I think it'd probably better get the rapid fire first, and that just means that your traps, if someone steps on them, you can almost one-shot them.
I think I prefer the Stormrazor build with the kind of comp they have running, because, you know, we were talking about how once you catch someone even early on, they have a lot of CC to layer on that. I like the idea of quick damage to follow that up even in the early game.
Yeah. Well, we are ready to go and going through live into the game as we are 1 minute on the board, and XL have apparently got themselves first blood on the Urgot.
Yeah, so...
Well, that was impressive.
Okay.
Yeah, missed that out. Looks like Barcelona just
we
overstepped and got caught.
Well,
nice and easy. Well, blue buff will be spawning away, and Taxa going to be able to pick himself up the first buff.
well, we were saying, you know, you want to get your Urgot rolling. Try get him ahead in the early game. That's a little earlier than we thought, but hey, 1 kill up. Got himself some boots.
And he got, yeah, exactly. The boots means he can reposition around his explosive kneecaps, so all the easier in lane. Gives him a bit of an advantage in lane for the moment, but Taxa just trying to figure out actually what he wants to be doing. Is he has actually found out the Kindred, and he's actually going for a little bit of a trade for the moment.
Yeah,
looks like Taxa's very low. He's already forced a flash as well, and now Rippy trying to get a bit of backup coming through. Will be able to peel his jungler out.
Okay, Taxers ended up extremely low off that and had to force the flash. But again, we were talking about how they want to force the play top. They effectively already have, so he can now refocus on the map and see what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit greedy from Taxa. He managed to steal away the blue from Barrage, but he overstayed. I mean, I guess looking for the Kindred, but just didn't expect the damage to come out from him that early.
And early, if you can look on the bottom side of the map, the Xayah and Rakan actually are getting pushed in by the Morg Caitlyn.
Understandably.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable, but you pick this lane to win lane.
And again, this plays back into XL generally having quite strong drafts and playing to what they know. So they knew Xayah Rakan had come down. They decided, we'll counter with Caitlyn Morg. And even in the early game, you're seeing them execute on that.
Is it me or is it really off-putting not seeing minion health
It's so
bars?
hard.
That's really weird. Don't know what happened there, because we had them like at the beginning, and now they just disappeared. Hopefully that gets sorted out, figure out exactly what's causing that. And then, yeah.
We'll get back into it.
We'll get
PCS in. We have to guess. Will he hit
it
the
just
CS?
feels
Will he
like
not?
Yeah.
It feels like she's getting like stealthy
got that
procs
Yep.
off just autoing the minions, and it's freaking me out a little.
Doing a pretty solid job so far there. Actually has a CS lead over Seb. Can't complain too much.
I mean, speaking of CS leads as well, Sendo has a big old CS lead over Governor in the top side as well. 20-8 CS as we are having a look at the bot lane for the moment. Venza just got a big lead over the bot lane, just shoving them in real hard. Big CS lead as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you're seeing that there. They're just able to push really effectively using the Morgana W. And then Caitlyn's just queuing through the wave and getting a lot of quick damage down, but it looks like Barrage wants to counter sooner rather than later.
Well, it looks like maybe an engage is going to come through. Goes back with the 90 caliber net, just getting the knock up onto one as Jakamaka is looking to jet the Blade Caller down. Lots of damage is coming out from Venza though as he's taking a couple of auto attacks. Meanwhile, Governor versus Sender in the top lane just having a little bit of a trade, but looks like potential for some more action to happen here in the bot side.
Yeah, that was a lot coming down very quickly, and I like that he held on the W with Rakan, waiting to get the knock up, ensuring he could get both people in, so the Black Shield had to only go down on Caitlyn, and ends up forcing out the Morgana Flash.
Yeah, it does run them pretty low, and that obviously relieves a little bit of pressure as well, as Taxa is making an appearance. Seismic Shove goes a little bit wide, so does the bubble from
Pretty
Rippy.
close, though. If that had landed, that would have been pretty rough for them, because it likely would have knocked them into the bubble there as well, and then that's a quick combo you really want to avoid.
You need to be very, very careful of that, as it looks like Jakamaka and his support will just be basing up here and looking to make their way out. We got health bars back. We now just have no game sound.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
Oh, no.
Looks like... Oh, I looked away for 2 seconds and 2 kills go over to
Relying
XL.
too much on the sound, man.
I rely way too much on sound for Qs. That would be 3-0 over to XL. Barrage looking like they're struggling early in the game. We're only 5 minutes in as well.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to, you know, if we weren't looking at the names, we like Barrage's comp, but then we looked at the names and XL started winning immediately. Even before we saw them, they had a kill.
And it's just an unfortunate situation because Jakamaka and Barciono did so well in that bot lane, burning the summoners, and then just an unlucky back position, I guess. They get punished, and they're now massively disadvantaged, and they're given a big lead to Taxa.
Yeah, I mean, along with that, you have Taxer now ahead, you have the top laner ahead. They could probably just start forcing dives in the Ornn once they get that little bit of damage onto Urgot, because Ornn just can't afford any tankiness yet.
Well, I mean, he has a base as well, so he can start to build that phage, build towards that Black Cleavers. We are actually seeing the binding. Not going to be a knock-up, and there's a knight down onto Jakamaka. He's very, very low. Bubble's going to go through, and Quicksef is able to get himself his second kill on the Morgana, and first turret blood will fall in favor of XL at 6 minutes.
And you can already see how annoying that combo is. One snare, the trap under it, with the ignite was enough to take them out at level 4. That's rough.
It's really, really rough for them. Ascendo is just pushing yet another wave into Governor. Looks like he's going to look to get his first base off now. And the potential for those dives in the top side could always come through.
I don't even think they need to at this point, because they could just send the bot lane top, and Ornn can't deal with them. Nor can anyone really on Barrage. So all they need to do now, leave Urgot farm the bot lane. He's strong enough with that phage that they can't just hard dive him easily enough. And even if they do, it means they can counter it in the top lane and get themselves another tower.
We are seeing Rippy underneath his turret, currently even in CS to his counterpart. He wasn't even able to get an assist in the play bot lanes. He did roam, tried to help the team, but didn't actually gain too much from it. But he hasn't lost too much as well, as we are seeing now XL swap their bot lane out into the top side of the map, looking to put some plays and get these towers down over here, as Taxa is with them as well. Remember, first Drake's only the Cloud Drake as well, so not really too much to really be gained on the other side of the map.
Yeah, and I mean, it does come back to what we were saying about XL. It's all about how they play the map early, and while Rippy didn't secure anything with that play, it was very close. Okay, here's the hard dive we were looking at.
All of the forward shots coming through. That's going to be one backed by Sendo. He's trying to put that damage out. The shield's there, but it's not quite enough, and Jakamaka is going to go out, but 1v3, Sendo is able to get himself a kill.
Yeah, and I mean, they had to force a lot just to get that, and it's something for Barrage.
Yeah.
But going 1-for-1 in a 1v3 is more than good for XL.
Yeah.
They could just continue that push topside now.
Yeah, exactly. They take a turret topside. They're able to get themselves the turret down in the top side as well, and that's just really, really big for them, as it looks like Seb needs to be a little bit careful. Does obviously have the ultimate available to him.
See now, I think they're looking for the engage onto it.
Well, going to throw that ultimate down. Seb trying to keep himself up as Vendor, putting a couple of auto attacks in, and it looks like Seb's actually very, very low. Goes Golden as the seismic shove will not connect, but the binding is flashed away. Ace in the hole comes through onto Rakan, and it's not going to be enough for a kill.
Oh, okay.
Almost. Almost going to be
XL are doing a really good job of really quickly upping the pace of the game. They are just forcing Barrage onto the back foot constantly, and you don't even have ult on Rakan yet to try force engages. You saw there that the engage came through from Lissandra, and her ult was black shielded. So it ended up being a lot closer than you'd have expected, which from what was effectively an overstay, or what looked like it from XL.
I'm very relieved, by the way, because we got sound back. We've got minion health bars back. So I can cast again. I can get a feeling for the game. Sendo is scuttling around this bottom side of the map, going to be clearing out some vision. So the Scuttle Crab did go over in favor of Barrage, but he's pretty content. He's got himself a phase. He's 2-1 on the Urgot. He's got a CS lead over Governor. He's building towards that cleaver. Governor, you know, hasn't really been able to find that engage for his team yet, as we are only 10 minutes in, though.
Not even 10 minutes in, and it's a 3k gold lead. This is really hard to recover, because now XL have had plenty of time to set up vision and start moving towards this Rift Herald. They've already taken 2 towers. They can start controlling this mid and then win a fight around there. But first of all...
Well, looks like Sendo is on the run. Zorki trying to chase him down. Great searing charge will knock him up, and he is going to fall down. Bella's breath slows him down, and Governor picks him up with a hammer to the back of the head.
And Barrage using their comp well. They're finding picks onto Sendo, who right now is somewhat dealable.
That's a big binding. Ace in the hole's coming through. Jakamaka will tank it up.
I was so waiting for the Xayah ult over it. Just letting the Rakan die. Would have been beautiful. I mean, terrible for your team, but would have been really funny.
Someone going to kill that? There we go. Yeah. Taxa now starting to go into the jungle. You know, we were talking about... Oh, that's unlucky. Talking about how, you know, he was this player who plays a more aggressive... has been playing a tanky team for his role. Now he's on a more aggressive, damage-dealing carry jungler, and he's having a good game.
Yep. But you see, what's happening here is XL are just so free to pressure everyone off with just the Caitlyn Morgana. Talia's really there just in case an engage comes through. You could see that when the E was thrown down. They're suddenly zoned off, because if they walk forward, they're risking a seismic shove coming down, and right now that's damage that Barrage just can't deal with.
Well, 10 minutes in, it looks like XL with 4 men in the top side are going to try and get themselves the scuttle grab. Looks like there's a potential for a turnaround though from Barrage. Seismic Shove goes a little bit wide, and it now looks like the collapse is starting to come through. Bubble lands onto Zorky. Let's see if it's going to be followed up by a Paddle Star. Valentino going to go in with the quickness. Misses one, but he does get it onto the next one. Protobelt will secure the kill, though. That's going to be the Lamb's Respite, and there's a teleport. Governor's come in, and that will be Sendo with the ultimate kill, and Venza completely untouched. Barentino gets killed as Venza flashes forward. A bubble goes a little bit wide. It's not going to be enough for the kill quite yet, but it does mean nothing because Sendo is 4-2 on the Ergon, and it's a double kill to Venza.
And 4 people going down from Barrage this early in the game is near unheard of.
That was... they got themselves the...
they did get Herald.
No, they didn't. No, yeah.
Barrage got Herald.
Okay, Barrage got Herald. So at least they got something from that play.
Interestingly, it was actually Seb that secured it in the middle of that madness, effectively.
Was that with the W?
I think it was the Q from Lissandra, but...
Oh, okay.
It was...
He did get a really good W on inside the pit, so...
Yeah,
I assumed it was that.
I think it was just the AoE. I don't think they were even trying to get Herald at that point. I think they just wanted to try and fight.
Yeah. Well, it was not particularly the best fight for them to get, as we are 22k to 17k. XL have got themselves a massive gold lead. Sendo goes back, picks up that Black Cleaver. Almost very close to getting that Runic Echoes as well on the side of Taxa, and it's already the Storm Razor picked up on Venza, and Jakamaka sitting on a pickaxe and a dagger.
I was going to say, that's where I'm looking at, because Storm Razor this early plays further into the one snare and dead combo we were talking about that XL have managed to execute so early on in the game. And it's just going to continue following suit here, and XL, while they didn't get Herald, can maintain the pressure they have because they just have such a ridiculous item lead.
And I'm glad you talked about stuff we talked about before the game as well, because we did hit on early vision control from the side of XL was key to them, and they're currently doing that. As you do look on the map, couple of wards just off in the enemy jungle, very deep, able to spot Barrage moving around as Barrage just trying to get some control of their jungle back.
And you can see that the discomfort Barrage are under, because only now are they finding some foothold back in terms of vision. It was so quickly pushed forward that they didn't know what to do, and they end up getting picked off for it.
Yeah, having a bit of a hard time. They're just A-ramming it in mid to make sure no one gets picked off by the Zoe, who actually hasn't really hit a major power spike yet, hasn't picked up that Luden's Echo. It feels like we're a lot further ahead because of how much gold XL is sitting on, but Zoe still pretty content. They are actually going to use the Rift Tail, try and crack this mid lane. Let's see if XL are going to be able to answer out. They have got a couple of members hanging about. Sendo isn't there. Great Weaver's Wall will split them apart, and that will be the bop onto the turret. There is a great binding following up, lots of damage, and it looks like actually the Rakan almost gets out, but Quickstep is able to shut him down. The turret stays alive as well, and a great binding is flashed away. In comes Sendo, it's in the hole, will connect onto one. Now they're looking to turn it around, but a great seismic shove by Taxa secures yet another kill. Rippy has so many flashes. The Lamb's Respite has been thrown out, and here comes the Paddle Star. Rippy may be looking to get himself a kill. Can't quite get the damage down, but the Sleepy Trouble has landed through. Looks like Governor will be A-okay, but this turret, on the other hand, will be falling down to Exceed Siege.
It is kind of sad to watch. I mean, this is XL just maintaining really, really nice control over the game. You could see what Barrage tried to do around the Herald. What they did was, okay, we drafted this strong 5v5 comp. Look, we've fallen behind. Maybe we can still make that work. And a really nice Weaver's Wall just completely negated that. It put 3 people on the wrong side, and Lissandra actually followed her E over, not realizing that that could well have killed her right then and there. But thankfully, the seismic shove was just out of range at that point. And Sendo, I think he's also struggling with the pace of this game as he's pushed up again.
Yeah, he is pushed up, maybe looking to make a miracle happen, but he's flashed out, has thrown the ultimate out. Fear Beyond Death did connect onto Barentino. Actually, it's on cooldown for the moment. It looks like Governor will be able to spit fire out and get himself a kill. A great response play from Barrage to just find something.
I think that's happened 3 times now, and there's only been 4 kills Barrage have gotten. You have to look at it from Sendo's point of view. I think genuinely they weren't expecting to get so far ahead so quickly, and he's playing it as if he has more items, as if he could stay that far up.
Yeah.
And he's being punished for it, in fairness, by Barrage.
It's a very tough game for Barrage. You got to keep in mind, you know, they are an ex-Premiership team. You know, they're one of the top teams here in the UK, one of the top 8 teams at least, but they've not been able to make it into the scoring stage of the Forge of Champions. This is their first time doing it. And we are going to have a quick replay of the action earlier on.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at this fight. And you can see how badly that Weaver's Wall messed them up. Now it's Rift Herald left on one side and 3 people on the other. Once that snare landed, the classic combo happens once more. He's stuck under tower as well, and one more autumn follows him there.
Oh.
And Sendo managed to get a flank at this point. Can't really do a whole lot as Urgot at this stage of the game, but it just doesn't matter. Your team lands one piece of CC, and it's just death.
Rippy just flashing forward, connecting the dots as he was able to put a lot of damage down. Lands Respite does mean he can't actually commit for the kill, though. As now XL getting himself one mark denied away from Zorky.
Well, that's the game decided right there.
I mean, I'm actually curious how many marks he's got. He's probably sitting on none at the moment. Oh, he's got 1.
Death Brush. Do it.
Call of the Forge Gods there. Oh, Unwanted Soil is good, but it doesn't mean too much as they're turning it on. Seb has forward a great Weaver's Wall, has stopped them from getting through. Where is the trap? Where is the damage? That's going to be an ace in the hole, and it looks like the commitment's coming through. Lamb's Respite to heal up everybody on the side of Barrage, but they're all so low, and they're starting to melt down. XL find themselves everybody, and at 16 minutes, it's the full ace.
Yeah, that fight just went from bad to so much worse so quickly. You can see everyone in the Lamb's Respite. It's like, okay, it'll save us for a little while. Everyone goes down to the minimum threshold. And then they get that tiny little heal, and it's just 1 Venzer auto each to pick them off.
And I mean, that was an incredible Weaver's Wall by Tax as well. It stopped Barrage actually getting onto Venzer and killing him, and it gave time for XL to actually find that collapse and turn the fight in their favor, because it started out in favor of Barrage. Here's going to be the replay. Let's have a look at that again.
Yeah, look, they're forcing all of their engage onto the first person they see, which is Quickset in this case. So they go for it. They think they can maybe get Venzer as well, but Seb is now on the wrong side of the wall. Huge amount of damage coming down super quickly, and as I was saying, you put the trap under that. There's nowhere to go at this point. Venzer putting the ult down there was super dangerous, forces the flash, but at this point the fight's already over.
I mean, Seb just went so aggressively forward with the Protobell, separated himself from the team, so he couldn't use the ultimate aggressively, had to use it defensively. Really, really unfortunate for him, and I think Barrage at this point, it's a matter of, okay, this game's going to end. We need to look at the next game. This is the best of 3. It's not over. We need to see actually how Barrage's mental fares in this series.
Yeah, and I mean, this one has to hurt your mental somewhat, but it's all about, can you completely reset? Because that's the only way you come out even neutral into this next game, because this has been a rough one, and it's been made extremely quick work.
Yeah, I mean, we're closing in on almost a 10k gold lead to XL. They're very comfortable. We're 18 minutes in. They've been able to take down every one of the tier 2 turrets, bar this one topside. And this is where their attention is being put down to. I mean, there's a rapid fire cannon. There's a Storm Razor on your Caitlyn. Yeah. Objectives and your champions will melt.
The way I'd put it is that XL would have Baron right now if it had spawned yet.
Yeah. And I think they'll probably look for a 20-minute Baron. I think they're just going to siege and put as much pressure down now as they can, and then turn their attention towards this Baron. There's only one ward for the side of Barrage, and that is inside the pit. And if you look at the pit, actually, I'm going to have to hold that because there's the Call of the Forge God. Seb's gone forward, looking to throw that ultimate out. He goes in with the Proto Belt. Venzer is not going to get ulted in place, as Seb is forced to put it on himself, and he's just getting turned around. Sendo is able to find himself 1. Now Barrage looking to run away. That's going to be the ultimate. Fear beyond death by Sendo gives him the triple kill. Baratino so low. It's the quadra kill. Come on, Sendo. Ace in the hole is here, and that is going to be a penta kill to Sendo.
Oh my word. That was insane.
That was monstrous by the Urgot. Sendo comes up absolutely huge. And at 19 minutes, XL will crack the base of Barrage.
Beautifully done. They don't want to follow that up because death timers are still so short at this point in the game.
I mean, they're all spawning up now.
Yeah, a pentakill just happened and 3 people are already up.
4.
4.
Here comes the 5th. Oh my lord, Sendo. Well, he just found himself an opening. He's now 9-3.
You know what?
Instantly buys the Warmog's armor.
You know what? He could overstay now.
Yeah,
I mean, he's good.
Yeah, he's comfortable at this point, mate.
Yeah, he's found his way back in somehow. That was really well played.
Once again, we see Seb go really far forward in the fight, and he doesn't ult Venzer. He goes in and goes, I can't get in range and I'm losing so much health, so he ults himself. The trap comes down, he gets comboed out and dies really, really quick. And Sendo he's just outputting the damage.
It's all about XL's positioning right now because they know exactly what Barrage want to do. So as soon as you hear the sound coming from Ornn, you're just sending Venzer as far back as possible.
Yeah, they put the black shield on him. He 90 caliber nets as far away as possible, and then just waddles away.
And even on the other side, you have the rest of the team playing a surprisingly solid front line with Sendo in the way.
Yeah.
And Taxer just throws down the E, and and then it's really difficult to actually engage through that without just getting chunked out.
I think the major thing we need to hit on here is that Barrage have been playing, you know, this engage heavy team, and it's actually been XL who've just been playing the superior counter engage to the attempts from Barrage.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're an engage heavy team and because they're behind, it's very difficult for them to find an opening because XL, I mean, at this point are so far ahead. But even before that, it was just solid positioning, very telegraphed engages, honestly. And XL just knowing when to back off.
1 kill a minute to XL. We are about to hit that 22-minute mark, so let's see if it's going to happen. Teleport gets used and then cancelled out, and now XL looking to turn their attention back towards that Baron Nashor. Sendo just going to clear out the vision, make sure they don't have that control ward they can teleport to. And a great Weaver's Wall by Tax that will separate away the side of Barrage. It was very, very early. Another control ward's been placed in the pit as well. Baron currently at half HP. Let's see if Barrage can make something happen. Rippy trying to zone away the team, but it looks like they still have their opening. They still have their chance. This is Zorki's moment to do or die. This is his moment to save Barrage in this game, and it's 2k HP. Sendo may be looking just to try and turn it at this point, as there's a lot of poke. Sendo flashes over the wall, comes in with a knockout, looks for Jakamaka. That's going to be the ultimate by Zorki. Jakamaka's running very, very low, and Sendo playing aggressively forward. Rippy's putting that damage down, and Jakamaka is still alive. He's going very, very low. Sendo's found himself one. That'll be Seb getting picked up by Venza, and now Barentino will be next to full. That's going to be a double kill onto Sendo, and Governor is very, very low. Bubble connects down by Rippy, and in comes the damage. Down falls the Governor, and Sendo gets a triple kill.
And that is game right there. Beautifully played by XL, start to finish. There was some minor overstays from Sendo, completely overshadowed by the fact he picks up a penta towards the end there.
Couple of overextensions here and there, but you can't blame him too much as 22 minutes on the clock, and XL absolutely crush Barrage.
Well, we're eating early today, boys.
Still a best of 3.
Still a best of 3.
Don't get ahead of yourself yet, but Barrage, they need to look at their mental in that game. They need to bounce back because that was just crushing for them.
Absolutely. I mean, it looked like XL had somewhere to be, but we talked about how the comp needs to be executed, and XL played exactly to what that comp needed to do. We talked about how they might not want to pressure bot lane. Didn't even need that. They pressured bot, and the Caitlyn Mug, they took that bot tower at 6 minutes. I mean, obviously, you don't call a game that early, there's still chances. But when that happens that early in the game, it looks so bad for your team.
With minimal jungle pressure as well. It was actually Kindred who went down there first.
Yeah.
And then you still end up taking tower at 6 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Insane.
it was just one of those things where XL knew exactly what they needed to do with the team comp, exactly how to execute, and they just did throughout the game. And then the lead was just so big. And we talked about Barrage had this team fighting comp, but they ended up so far behind, they just never found the team fights they needed.
Yeah, I mean, Barrage looking for the engages, looking for the play, but XL just had their number and played them perfectly every time. Like you said, send Venza back, get him as far away as possible. Seb could never get in range to ult him. You could always see he was like on the edge of that circle. He's like spam clicking the R button. Yeah. He just ended up having to go, I have to R myself. Like, I actually can't do anything without like this. And yeah, I mean, XL played that flawlessly. A couple of mistakes here and there, mainly from Sendo, but in the end, he just played the game so well that he recovered from it. And I mean, you can see this pentakill right here.
But even
watch what they do.
Look at how far back Venzer gets while they're trying to force this engage.
And look, Seb, once again, Proto Belts forward uses all of his mobility tools to try and get on Venza and can't quite close that gap. Also, he couldn't get through Quicksef's black shield as well, which was really, really key.
Yeah, they were just so far behind. It felt like the goal difference was a massive thing here because they get engaged onto some members, but they just have no damage.
I also want to give big props to the rest of XL for not stealing that pentakill.
Yeah, they actually whittled him down perfectly.
Yeah, they were like, they knew that the ace in the hole was going to be enough to lower him to the point where Sendo could pick that up. So, good guys on XL.
I'd have stolen it when I used to be on XL. I'd have stolen that
pentakill.
That's
why you're not in XL anymore.
Scumbag.
No.
But that's got to be a massive mental boon for XL. You know, they didn't make it in the first qualifying tournament. Second qualifying tournament, they get themselves a win. They come straight into the round of 8, and they go, right, we got a pentakill versus Barrage. Who's next?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to start off the stream scoring stage off the Forge Champions 3.
Yeah.
But I think you can't let it get to your head. You know, we did go into this thinking that XL were the favourites. They've only won one game. It is the sort of composition that when you have that much control, it is going to look dominating because it doesn't feel like there are many options. I think for Barrage, it's going to be tricky because they've so far in this game and in the round of 16, they have always wanted to play Zyra Khan. I think XL have seen that and they went, right, you played that, we'll play Morg Kate, and it's worked so effectively. So I think going into this next draft, they're going to have to ban away that Morg.
Yeah, Morg has to be banned because it was just, even when they wanted to play the Lissandra as well, the Black Shield just completely countered everything they wanted to do.
Look at Sendo, by the way. He went over the wall and just went man mode versus Jakamaka 1v1. He went so deep while Rippy's also just like 1v3ing them.
Yeah.
There's 3 members in the pit doing Baron Nashor while Rippy and Sendo just like wipe the rest of the
You have to
team.
remember, this is straight after his pentakill. So he's like,
he's
I
so
just want to
fed.
fight everyone
he's
right
so
now.
so
I
fed.
felt so bad for Jakamaka there because he's just firing his feathers into him, doing as much as he can, and just like no HP is going down.
Yeah.
And Sender was waiting for his leg to the cooldown to come off, and he's just sort of like tickling him, and they were tickling each other, and then Sender's leg respawns, and he just boom, just chunks him,
Just bodies him.
Yeah,
Explosive kneecaps, mate. They're really dangerous.
yeah. Who would have thought?
Well, yeah, I mean, who would have thought? I mean, who would have thought XL would have dominated this game so much? You know, we all bigged up the fact that they were the favourites coming in, but Barrage went 2-0 in their game before this versus Bulldog, and XL just... That doesn't matter.
XL
That means
showed
nothing to
why
them.
they're currently the highest point scorers,
I
is
mean,
what I'd say.
They've been a team who've consistently been good in the UK for a while as well, you know. They won the Premiership before the last, when you were on the team, I know, in a reverse sweep as well. Did you steal any pentakills then?
I don't. No, I don't think they were. I mean, I would have stolen.
You wouldn't
if they
even
were.
remember, would you?
No, I just steal them on the daily.
Disgusting.
And that person solo queue when you have a quadra, I'm like, I'm taking that.
I only do it if the guy's been flaming. If the
That's
guy's been
true.
like, if the guy's been a real bum, I'll walk up and be like, you know what, you don't deserve this.
That's why you should always be positive.
Yeah, because if
I
you're
feel
nice,
like that shouldn't
if
happen on
someone's
teams.
nice, I will go out of my way to gift them that pentakill.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
person.
I'm kind of like I'm like hit or miss. You know, you're nice. You know, actually, to be honest, if you don't say anything, I'll still make sure you get the pentakill because then
Yeah.
you've probably not been a bad person.
Honestly, neutral in League is pretty nice.
yeah, neutral's actually the best.
Yeah.
So when they're full like robot mode, they're just like, it's like Orianna players. They're either just like dead quiet and like hard carrying you, or just flaming you the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
like
fair.
Orianna
Also
players are like
experience with Orianna.
Orianna players are just dead silent and they are just hard carrying the game, or they're flaming and they're 0-6.
Yeah, can you
That's
speak
rough.
from experience?
Yeah,
You
'cause
are a mid
I
lane player?
actually play Orianna.
There we go.
My last pentakill was on Orianna, actually.
Wow.
So was that when you were
that one?
silent and hard carrying?
Yeah. Yeah. Then afterwards, I got into the next game and I was like, I hate all of you.
Yeah.
You're horrible.
I just carried my last game.
Yeah.
That's what
I
Sendo's
carried my
gonna be
last game. Let me get Ori.
That's what
Yeah.
Sendo's going to be like in this next game.
Yeah,
He'll be
Barrage
like,
starts to pull ahead.
They're going to
it's
put him on a
just-
tank. They're going to put him on like Maokai now.
and we're like, hey, Taxa, what are you doing this game? I got a pen last game. You carry this one.
Really solid stuff by them. But obviously this is a best of 3. So there is another game coming up shortly. We'll be going to a break fairly soon. At which point we can obviously do that. But you know what? Let's go to a break now. When we're back, it'll be game 2 of the series. Can Barrage pull this back, or will XL dominate them one more time? Don't go anywhere. We'll see you shortly.